This Fox News segment between Will Cain and Democrat Rep. Hines goes off the rails within minutes because this guy cannot have a productive conversation. It starts all nice and polite, and he's like, hey, we agree on this one point. And then for some reason, this guy just starts screaming from the top of his lungs and starts acting all self-righteous because that's what Democrats do. And there are literally points where Will Cain tries to find agreement, and he just starts screaming, saying, hey, I'm not going to listen to you about any... This is why the Democrat Party is suffering from a historically low approval ratings, which we'll get more into. But it's clear that the Democrats don't want to have a productive conversation. They just want to score political points, and they just want to act self-righteous, and they just want to gaslight. And so let's get right into it. My name is Clayton Kearns from TrendyPolitics.com. Make sure to like this video. It helps us out so much in the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure to subscribe. So they're talking and debating about the Signal group chat leak that we had last week, okay? And the Trump administration has already said this is a case closed, nothing more to say about it. All the appropriate parties have been talked to, and this is not going to happen again. But the Democrats, they don't want to let it go. They don't want to let it go for 1 second, because it's the first time in several months that they've been able to have any victory at all. Like, they get shellacked in the 2024 election, lose the House, the Senate, the White House, the popular vote, and, you know, Trump just comes out like running out of the gates with his administration. They haven't been able to catch their breath. Finally, they're able to claim a little bit of self-righteousness on one thing. So let's get into this interview. Like I said, it starts off very peaceful and kind, and then it gets off the rails very quickly. Let's get into it.
Well, let's start on a point where we agree, which is that this is a serious mistake. You agree with that. The problem with mistakes when bombs are flying and pilots are piloting F-18s and F-35s over dangerous territory is that a mistake gets people killed. I think we can agree on that. Now, call me old-fashioned, but when I was a kid growing up, when you made a mistake, the first thing you did was you said sorry. The second thing you did is you did the work to make sure that it never happens again. In the old America, where we did those sorts of things and stood up for the people that you just did a segment on Medal of Honor winners, you know what you don't do? You don't come out and trash Jeffrey Goldberg, without whose work we would not even know about this mistake that Congress should be doing a little bit of oversight on.
Stop right there if you wouldn't mind, please. Let's have a back and forth. We agree it's a mistake. On that, we agree. You inserted the word serious. And that is the weight of this debate. That is the weight of this argument. For the first time in 2 months, Democrats get to be on the front foot. I'm sure you're excited. You get to attack in a unified way against a mistake made by Republicans. So what you're doing is you're ramping up the hyperbolic response to this by calling it a serious mistake. You even now just invoked that men could get killed. There's nothing in this that suggests that to be true. What you just said, there's nothing. There is zero evidence to say that could be true. The information that was shared that you're pointing at was at 11:44. We know that an attack took place within minutes of that. Minutes. And so he was getting, inappropriately, real-time updates. I agree with you. Inappropriate mistake that needs to be rectified, and Trump and Waltz also thought so and just said so. But that was not a serious mistake putting American lives into jeopardy, and I think that your side is doing this to score political points, the first political points they've been able to accomplish in 2 months.
Well, what we're talking about here, and I've spent a decade now watching how our intelligence community communicates with the warfighter. So I am not going to listen to you tell me that this is about a partisan advantage. It is a mistake, and yes, it's a very serious mistake.
Real quick before we continue, it's a mistake, and it's a very serious mistake. The Trump administration has already admitted it's a mistake. It's like we're saying, they say, hey, this is a big mistake. It's like, yeah, we admit it's a mistake. Well, we want to keep being self-righteous about it. Okay, but we just agreed with you. And then trust me, he starts screaming here in a minute. It's kind of crazy how Democrats just whine and scream and yell when you know you don't fully, you know, I guess, I don't know, maybe he wants the Trump to just step down because of this. I don't know. It's insane. These people will never be satisfied.
Because if you make a mistake in Social Security and grandma doesn't get a phone call through, that's bad. But there is not zero risk that our young men and women in uniform, the ones who flew those F-35s and F-18s,
Congressman, how was an American life put into jeopardy?
We will find
Congressman,
out.
How?
Because
fine, you've made a claim. Tell me how an American life was put into jeopardy.
Because in an insecure channel, in what was acknowledged as a mistake before, whether it was a day or 2 hours or 5 hours, in a signal chat that we know. Do you want an answer to your question? In a signal chat that we know that the Russians could intercept, they might have told the Houthis in an hour. And in half an hour, they're moving their anti-aircraft stuff around. It is by the grace of God that we don't have dead pilots or sunken ships right now. And I will tell you, whether it's a big mistake or a small mistake, to then go and attack Jeffrey Goldberg, without whom we wouldn't even know about this mistake, it's got to make...
Including Jeffrey Goldberg was the mistake. Including Jeffrey Goldberg was the mistake.
You like how he laughs there? He's like, he got caught because he's like, without Jeffrey Goldberg, we wouldn't have known about this mistake. Well, okay, exactly. Everyone agrees he shouldn't have been added to the group chat. So therefore, if he wasn't added, then no mistake would have been made. Like, does he not see the logic here? Does he not understand anything whatsoever? And this is not the first time he's stumped. He actually gets stumped towards the end here as well. But now you would think that like they're starting to find some common ground. No. Just wait.
And get any military officer on your show right now, Will. Get any military officer serving right now, any intelligence officer, and they will tell you that Jeffrey Goldberg was the cherry on top of using an insecure channel in advance to discuss military plans.
I'm not going to argue, Congressman. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue that no mistake was made. And I'm not going to argue that Signal is the perfectly appropriate app to have this conversation. What I am going to argue with you is that you are hyperbolically taking this over the top, yes, absolutely, for partisan points, in order to score in the first time in 2 months. Don't do it on Signal. I agree. Don't do it on Signal.
Well,
but nobody's live.
You know what? Here's the
CIA
thing.
director.
You are the one who is making this into a partisan issue. And we are talking about the lives of our young men and women. And it makes me want to throw up to hear you turn this into a partisan issue when we are talking about the lives of our airmen and Marines and sailors.
Wow, do you see how worked up he's getting? I can't believe you guys are turning this into a partisan issue. Where was this energy and where was this passion when 13 service members actually died in Afghanistan? Nowhere to be found. Literally, Will Cain is saying he agrees on 2 points. It shouldn't have been done on Signal, and he shouldn't have been added to the group chat. Now, I don't really agree with the whole Signal thing because both administrations were using this. The Biden administration used this, and the Trump administration has used this. It's been shown to be a pretty safe app. But everyone agrees he shouldn't have been added to the chat. But Hines doesn't want to agree with anything. He just wants to scream and yell and claim that the other side is playing politics, when all along it's their side playing politics. But they don't actually care when people actually die. They just care when a little mistake is made like this. It's insane.
You just need to stop this. You cannot run a segment cheering Medal of Honor winners, many of whom win posthumously, and
you know what I could run a segment on, Congressman?
This mistake is about partisan advantage.
It is. And I can run that segment, and I'm doing it with you right now, and I'll tell you something else. This isn't an administration that watched as 13 Marines died or spilled secrets to the Chinese Communist Party or did any of the other things that we just watched. It's hard to take you seriously, or that Jeffrey Goldberg is the hero in this story, when what you're positing is a hypothetical, and a hypothetical that will be rectified. But I appreciate you debating me.
Thank God it's a hypothetical. By the way, this is the administration that fired the people that look after our nuclear weapons. Thank God we don't have a loose nuke. So do not tell me that these mistakes are either driven by partisan motivation or that they're not serious, because we are talking about the most serious things that we do in this government, which is keeping our soldiers, sailors, and airmen safe.
It's really hard to take that point seriously after watching the way you guys handled Afghanistan. But I will say this to you. I do appreciate the debate.
You like how he has nothing to say to that? It's hard to take you guys seriously when seeing your behavior over Afghanistan. And all he can do is laugh because he knows it's true. They are getting infinitely more worked up about this hypothetical disaster of what could have happened. They're getting way more worked up about that than what actually happened in Afghanistan, which was one of the biggest military failures of the past few decades. This is what the Democrats are. This is who they are. Even when Will Cain is trying to find some common ground, he doesn't want anything to do with it. So Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about Rep Hines, who you support, Will Cain or Rep Hines. And make sure to like this video, and I will see you in the next one.